Why, hello there. I know I'm late, but better late than never is what they say. Am I right? Look at that beautiful view out here in New York today. It is sunny, the skies are blue. It's Monday. Good morning, y'all. 40 degrees outside on this nice sunny Monday morning. Good morning. Good morning, y'all. Good morning. Happy Monday. Happy day. Happy February 5th. Coming to you live, Queens, New York, in the hizzy. Let's go. I hope all of you had a wonderful weekend and you are having a great start to your week here on this Monday morning. My weekend was nice, kind of busy, working on some projects, playing a lot of video games. So I don't know if I've mentioned it here before. I'm sure I have. Just my memories, especially this time in the morning, is still slowly catching up. So excuse me and pardon me if I am repeating myself, but I'm trying to do more video game coverage on this channel. Now, I'm not going to be like the up-to-date new game every week kind of guy. That's just not me. I like talking about the industry, the news, and stuff that I have access to, right? So I happen to have access to a couple new stuff that launched because of Game Pass. Thank you to Game Pass for that. So I played some Persona 3 Reloaded over the weekend. Played a little bit of Pal World, just a bit. I've also played that new Silent Hill message free demo download, whatever you want to call it, on the PS5. And believe it or not, I played some Gotham Knights for the very first time with a friend of mine, good old PQ. So with all that being done, I'm also planning to do some reviews for those games this week. So I wanted to make sure I got some game time in there. I always have my limit, or my method is that if I play 2 hours of your game and it's hooked me, then you got me in for the rest of the time. If I play 2 hours into a game and I'm still confused or I'm still not hooked yet, more than likely I'm not going back. So that's basically how I approach my reviews and coverage of video games. And I'm going to be doing a whole lot more of that on this channel. So, I've spent most of the weekend doing a lot of that. And of course, caught up on some stuff, caught up with some friends, doing some projects, things like that. It was a busy weekend also for pop culture. I mean, we had the Grammys, which I don't pay attention to. I don't watch at all. But some interesting stuff coming out of there. I don't know what the deal with that dude that got arrested before the show started or something. Killer Mike, whoever that is, I don't know who that guy is. I mean, but I thought that was an interesting headline coming out of the Grammys, even before the main show started. The fact that he got arrested and was detained. I don't know what the story is behind that. I could care less. I couldn't care less. So you got some interesting news dropping that I definitely do want to talk about this morning. And that is the news that Microsoft is contemplating on releasing their Xbox exclusives multi-platform, especially for PS5. So you have the internets going nuts and bizarre about this piece of news. So I definitely wanted to read more about that with all of you and learn more about that and talk about that this morning. Josh Brolin opening his mouth saying that he's hearing rumors about Thanos returning to the MCU. I don't know how true that is, or if he's just being silly. But there's an article, and again, it's just talk. Don't know how true it is, but it's interesting to look at and see if this is something that's actually very true. So all of that kind of stuff, plus the typical headlines and what have you. But let's start off the morning with the weekend box office. Weekend box office time. Oh no, we did that already. No, we did that already. Weekend box office, weekend breakdown. Let's go. Let's go. All right. I need to get better songs or things for these things. Well, let's head on to the box office, the weekend box office breakdown here. I am on my favorite site, thenumbers.com, where I check up on all the charts and numbers of the box office during the weekends, during the week, and all that. It was a sad box office weekend, extremely sad. And I think most theater chains, mom and pop theaters, they were really hoping that Argylle was going to start off 2024. And unfortunately, it has not. Argylle, the new release from Matthew Vaughn, director Matthew Vaughn, pulled in only $18 million over the weekend. Ouch. Like E.T. says, ouch. That is abysmal for a movie that features such a rich ensemble cast. Bryce Dallas Howard, you had, Henry Cavill, Bryan Cranston, Sam Rockwell, Catherine O'Hara, Dua Lipa, John Cena, Ariana DeBose. You had so many people in this movie, and it only pulled in $18 million. Why? Because reviews and word of mouth killed it. I'll be honest. I'll say that straight up. You guys heard my thoughts on Friday when I saw it. It sucked. It was terrible. Didn't make sense. And it's unfortunate. I don't know if Matthew Vaughn is turning into another Zack Snyder, but he has his signature ways of doing things. He has his visuals, the way he choreographs his fight scenes, the way he, shoots a lot of these things. But as of recent, a lot of his movies have been very dull, very bland, and boring. And that's how I felt about this movie. So it's a kind of unfortunate to see how his latest movie just really underperformed the way it did. Coming in number 2, there was this Fathom event for season 4 of The Chosen, and episodes 1 to 3 were debuted, and that came in second. For a Fathom event that is featuring a show to watch in movie theaters, for that to come in second, pulling in $6 million, it was a sad box office weekend. That is just sad overall. Then number 3, The Beekeeper, Jason Statham, coming at $5 million there. You have Wonka still in the top 5. This is the little engine that could. It's not going away anytime soon. In fact, it's over Migration in 5th place. So you have 4.7 million there with Wonka, 4 million with Migration. Mean Girls still in the top 10 at 4 million. Anyone But You, 3.5 million. It's also been reported that Anyone But You has officially broke 100 million, which is the best performing rom-com movie in some time. Here, let's take a look at that. Look at that. Worldwide box office, $151 million. Making it one of the better performing rom-coms that we've gotten in a very long time. Now, is this because of the star power between Sydney Sweeney and Glenn Powell? Maybe. Word of mouth saying the movie's pretty decent. Not my kind of thing, so I'm not going to watch it anytime soon, but that's what I've been hearing there. Coming in 8, you have American Fiction, which I finally had a chance to see. And I do want to talk about that a little later on. In 9th, You have Poor Things, and in 10th, you still have Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom still hanging in there, pulling in $2 million. So yeah, so it was a very slow, sad box office weekend. Nothing really to write home about. Um, People are speaking out with their wallets, basically not going to the movies at all. I don't think. Now, I am very curious. I'll say this: I'm very curious as to the big release of the month. Honestly, is Madam Web. I think a lot of people were hoping Argylle was going to be this big thing, and I think it kind of like disappointed a lot of folks. Madam Web, believe it or not, I think is the biggest opening of the month because first it's tied to the Spider-Man universe, which a lot of people love. It stars Dakota Johnson and Sydney Sweeney, as I mentioned before, who's very hot right now, very popular. So two very popular ladies, actresses that people go out to watch. But I don't know if that movie is actually going to do anything. I think we're going to be seeing numbers very similar to what we're seeing with Argylle, very similar to what we saw with Morbius when that movie came out. I think that movie is going to be a major disappointment. I don't think we're going to get any good, real, full-fledged, money-making movies until March, where we have Ghostbusters and we have Dune 2 coming out. I think that's the time we're finally going to start seeing people going back to the theaters in droves. Droves. I mean, not like how we used to see them 7-8 years ago, but definitely a lot more than we're seeing now. So the dry season for movies is continuing, unfortunately. And I think this month is going to be kind of sad. I'm going to be checking out movies. I mean, I obviously am morbidly, get it, curious about Madam Web. I can't wait to check out that new Coen movie, Runaway Dolls. Is it Runaway Dolls? Is that the name of the movie? I keep forgetting what it is. But you know what I'm talking about. If you know, you know. If you don't, then you don't. Sorry, I don't know what to tell you. But that's what I'm looking forward to this month. But yeah, March is going to be the month where I think a lot more people are going to be checking out movies and the like. So sad weekend. Sorry, Argylle. Sorry, Matthew Vaughn. But if anything, Matthew Vaughn is very confident that Deadpool 3 will be game changing for the MCU, according to him. That is basically what he's saying. I don't know if you read that article, but he was quoted in saying that he had a chance to see bits of Deadpool 3, and he has a strong feeling that that movie is going to shake things up in the MCU, which I personally have been saying for some time now. One of the reasons why in my most anticipated movies discussion with Blake of the Movie Time movie podcast, check it out on your podcast platform of choice if you haven't done so yet. Deadpool 3 is going to be the big movie of the year because it has a lot riding on it. Now, when I say big, it could be one or two things. Either huge and momentous for the MCU, kind of bringing back life into it, getting people excited for it again. It's the only Marvel movie coming out this year, so that could be something that's huge. Or it could be the opposite, and it could be a major disappointment, a major bomb. People are going to get turned off even more so, and that's basically going to be the end of the MCU as we know it. And maybe we'll see a shakeup like the DCU. I doubt that's the case. That's a very extreme case, but it could happen. But according to Matthew Vaughn, this movie is going to be huge. That being said, his own movie is not huge, and I feel sorry for him. And I don't know what to tell him. I'm not. He's not going to be listening to me, but I don't know what's next and what's in store for Matthew Vaughn after Argylle. I mean, Argylle was is going to be looked upon as a major disappointment. Now, let's check out to see how much of this budget was for this movie. Because mind you, this is also an Apple movie. So this is another situation where you have a streaming service that is trying to push movies out into theaters. Apple plus, teaming up with Matthew Vaughn to put out a movie like this, very similar to how they teamed up with Martin Scorsese to put out Killers of a Flower Moon. Different genre, different type of movie. So, of course, there'll be different results. But here, it looks like Apple spent $200 million for this movie. Now, I always talk about budgets because it does come into play when you think about performance at the box office and how important that can be. Apple spent $200 million for a movie that only pulled in 18 million over the weekend. That is sad. That is extremely sad. So we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens with Apple and what are they going to decide to do moving forward. This is a year of cost savings, I think, for a lot of these streaming platforms. We already saw Max, with Warner Brothers Discovery, figuring things out, licensing their properties to other streaming platforms, saving some money, possibly teaming up with Paramount Plus. We'll see if that actually comes into fruition. Disney now taking some steps back, especially with the MCU and the Star Wars stuff. Peacock, I think they're doing okay. They're not going so crazy and so nuts. Netflix, being a little bit more conscious about what they're spending. Maybe refocusing on content for their streaming platform. It was stated by one of the executives that movie theater releases is not going to be a major priority for them moving into the future. We'll see if that's true. You have Amazon Studios with MGM putting out stuff. So I don't know. I don't know what the landscape is going to be looking like for a lot of these studios, especially the studios that are attached to streaming services. I feel like maybe Argylle would have better been served if it was just went to streaming right away. But for Apple to spend $200 million on a movie like that, they had to see what kind of results they were going to get at the box office, especially for Matthew Vaughn, who it seems like a lot of people appreciate his movies. Myself not included. I love Kick-Ass. I love the first Kingsman, but I didn't like the rest of the Kingsman stuff. I thought they were just kind of dull. But I know there are people who enjoyed those movies. So I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen there. But, with the recent results from this past weekend, it's not looking good. Not looking good at all. So you have that going on. So that is the weekend box office there. Other big stuff from the weekend, obviously the Grammys was held yesterday. I mentioned that already before. I didn't watch it, but there are some stuff from the headlines that kind of caught my eye. You have, first of all, what's the difference between record of the year and album of the year? Is there supposed to be a significant difference between the two? I don't understand that. It's almost like saying best movie and best picture or film. Like, aren't they the same? They're not judging it off of actual record release because, let's face it, records aren't really a thing unless you are a teeny bopper going to Urban Outfitters and spending $30 on a new piece of vinyl from Taylor Swift, or going to Target doing the same thing. Records do not make a dent in anything charts related or whatever the case is. Not like how it used to be back in the 80s, 70s, and way going even further back from that. So what's the difference here? I just don't understand what that is. I feel like that is as if the Oscars decided to add a category of blockbuster hit of the year, right? So are you telling me they're just giving another excuse or another way to award another artist above someone that is already the clear-cut winner? Because everyone was expecting Taylor Swift to win Album of the Year, which she did. And then all of a sudden I heard Miley Cyrus won record of the year. I didn't even know Miley Cyrus had anything new last year. That just goes to show you how much attention I pay to music these days. But what even shocked me the most is that Miley Cyrus has never won a Grammy ever in her entire career. And she's put out so much music for a very long time now. So that in itself is really shocking to me. So I guess congratulations to her. I mean, I think that's pretty damn awesome. You had Jay-Z winning kind of like a prestigious awards, and he used part of his speech to kind of blast the Grammy, the Grammy, consortium or whatever you want to call them, the group there, for not having Beyonce win Album of the Year ever, despite all of her multi Grammys that she's won throughout the years. So yeah, Jay-Z calls out Grammys for Beyonce's Album of the Year losses. Here, I'm going to read this. I'm reading this off of The Hollywood Reporter right now. I'll share my screen so that you can see it. But yeah, Jay-Z, who brought daughter Blue Ivy on stage as he accepted the Dr. Dre Global Impact Award, called out the Grammys, noting Beyonce has dozens of Grammys, but has never won the top honor. During the televised 2024 Grammy ceremony, host Trevor Noah presented the rapper with the honor to celebrate his achievements in music. So he continues to white knight for his wife. No big surprise there. You know, it wasn't quite another Kanye moment, but I mean, what do you care, dude? I mean, she has all of her gold, all of her statues. Album of the Year, so what? So yeah, this talks also about Miley Cyrus. Celine Dion makes a surprise appearance after her diagnosis of stiff person syndrome, which I thought was very sweet to see. I saw a clip out of that, and I thought that was very, very cool. Joni Mitchell made a performance, which was awesome. I loved watching that. Meryl Streep, Taylor Swift crashed Trevor Noah's Grammys. I don't care about that. The Killer Mike arrest I thought was interesting, but something that does kind of come into play with what I love talking about, which is obviously movies, is that Billie Eilish and Phineas won Song of the Year for Barbie for the song What Was I Made For? So that is huge there and could be very telling as to what possibly could be happening at the Oscars this year. Billie says it's hard to feel deserving ever, but we certainly don't right now. That's what Phineas said in a nod to fellow nominees while accepting the award for What Was I Made For from the Barbie soundtrack. After Lionel Richie announced the winner, Eilish was visibly shocked. Yikes, damn, that's stupid, guys, the singer said when taking the stage. Eilish said that she was sure that there was not a chance they would win. I would just want to say everybody in this category, like that was a crazy list of incredible people, incredible artists, crazy right now, she added, referring to her fellow nominees, including SZA, Taylor Swift, and Miley Cyrus. So yeah, so this was huge when I heard this headline. When the notification dropped on my phone, I was like, oh, that's big. That's pretty big. And that could be very, very telling as to what we might be seeing from the Oscars this year as far as original song is concerned. Also, something that I thought was very fascinating was that Star Wars Jedi Survivor won Best Video Game Soundtrack at the Grammys. I didn't even know that there was a video game soundtrack category at the Grammys. How many categories do they have? I mean, it just sounds like a hot mess. And that's one of the reasons why I just don't like watching that show, and I couldn't care less about it. I gotta see nominees for video game soundtrack Grammys. I gotta see who the nominees were. So let's see. That's 2022. Here, 2024 full nominees list. I have to check this out because this fascinates me. I had no idea there was such a damn category for that. Let's see. See, look at that. And they're still introducing new categories. 3 new Grammy categories will debut at the 2024 Grammys: Best African Music Performance, Best Alternative Jazz Album, and Best Pop Dance Recording. How do they even vote on these things? Like, what are, what's the criteria? It's just so mind-boggling to me, to be honest. Let's just, because this list is going to go on forever. So let's do video game. Here we go. Best soundtrack, best score soundtrack for video games and other interactive media. That's the category. Can you believe that? That's so, okay. So look, you have Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, God of War Ragnarok, Hogwarts Legacy, Star Wars Jedi Survivor, which won, and then you have Stray Gods, the role-playing musical. What the hell is that? So you have that category, and then this is an interesting one afterwards. Best song written for visual media. So this is a Songwriters Award for a song, melody, and lyrics written specifically for a motion picture, television, video games, or other visual media, and released for the first time during the eligibility year. So there we have Barbie World. That's Nicki Minaj and Ice Spice with Aqua. Dance the Night, also from Barbie. That's Dua Lipa. I'm Just Ken, another one from Barbie. The fuck is that? That's Ryan Gosling. And then Lift Me Up from Black Panther. So you have a category that has all Barbie nominees, plus What Was I Made For, and then Lift Me Up from Black Panther Wakanda Forever. What kind of horseshit is this category? I'm sorry. Oh, PQ chiming in. Oh, that's an indie RPG game. Want to check out Stray Gods eventually. Okay. I never heard of it. And is it really a musical? That is something I am curious to know about. Maybe you can tell me when you check it out for the first time. So I thought that was very interesting to find out. Again, you learn something new every day. And now I've learned that the Grammys officially has a video game score category. Who knew? Go figure. We're not going to talk much about the Grammys because, again, I don't follow new music. I don't know what the landscape is with music these days. It is what it is. It's just that the Barbie headline really caught my eye. And, some of the notables there. And again, I am still going to be constantly confused with the fact that there is 2 separate categories. One that's called Record of the Year and one that's called Album of the Year. What the difference is, I don't know. Doesn't make any sense to me. If you know, let me know in the comments. I would love to find out a proper explanation as to the differences between the two. PQ chime in. Yes, they call it a role-playing musical. Okay, well, we'll see. If the game breaks out into like Alan Wake 2 style musical numbers, I mean, that's interesting. That would be fascinating. But we'll see. Or is it like a Cadence of Hyrule, which was like a kind of musical beat type of game mechanic, game loop, however you want to call it these days. I'm very curious as to how all that plays out. All right. I think it's time to talk one of the big topics for the morning. And that is what is going on with Microsoft. Everyone on the internet is going nuts.
I'm gonna come.
Some of them are coming in their pants.
Fuck off!
Some of them are telling everyone else to go fuck off.
You blew it!
Everyone's saying that Microsoft is blowing it. But here's the headline. Basically, Microsoft is weighing in the options of releasing their exclusives, as of right now, some Bethesda exclusives, multi-platform, mainly PlayStation 5. This could also mean maybe they're thinking about ways of launching it on Switch 2 whenever Nintendo announces their new console there. Because if you ask me, if I'm to be completely honest, the current Switch right now cannot handle a Starfield or this new Indiana Jones game coming out. We saw what a nightmare Mortal Kombat looked like when that first came out on the platform. We saw how Batman Arkham Trilogy just looked terrible on that system. There are numerous other examples there, but it could be a setup for the new upcoming Switch 2, Electric Boogaloo, whatever you want to call it. But the article I'm referring to right now is from The Verge. It was something that was kind of released over the weekend, yesterday, and people went nuts with it. And you could see the headline here, Microsoft weighs launching Indiana Jones on the PS5. Indiana Jones and the Great Circle could arrive on PS5 months after Xbox launch. Let's just make this bigger so everyone can see and read along with me. And again, I just skimmed through this before because I just wanted to make sure I got the right reference article here. I'm reading a lot of this for the very first time. I didn't read about anything else in regards to this storyline. So basically, my reaction is fresh here, just so all of you know. But the article continues to say that Bethesda's upcoming Indiana Jones game is also tentatively set to launch on Sony's PlayStation 5 console. We got our first glimpse of Indiana Jones and the Great Circle during Microsoft's Xbox Developer Direct event last month, where it was announced for Xbox and PC. No big surprise there. A source familiar with Microsoft's plan tells The Verge that Bethesda is also considering bringing Indiana Jones and the Great Circle to PS5. A new multi-platform approach for certain Xbox games is emerging inside Microsoft, we're told, with the company weighing up which titles will remain exclusive and others that will appear on Switch or PS5 in the future. Indiana Jones appears to be part of this new wave of multi-platform games. Article continues to say that while Bethesda will launch its Indiana Jones games first as an Xbox console exclusive, it's currently set to have a rather short period of exclusivity, we're told. A release for PS5 is being considered for some months later, with Bethesda tentatively targeting a December 2024 launch for the Xbox and PC versions. I'm going to continue to read this here. Exact timing and platform availability for Indiana Jones could change, particularly as Microsoft's new multi-platform approach for Xbox games hasn't been yet finalized. Microsoft has been evaluating bringing certain Xbox exclusives to PS5 and Nintendo Switch in recent months. Sea of Thieves and Hi-Fi Rush have both reportedly been under cross-platform consideration, and we understand Microsoft has also looked into bringing other Xbox games to rival consoles. That's where we hear about the Starfield mentioned too. We're told that a Hi-Fi Rush announcement for non-Xbox platforms is expected in the coming weeks. Data mined game assets hinted at a release for PS5 and Nintendo Switch earlier this week. Xbox Era is also reporting that Microsoft is planning to bring Starfield to PS5 following the release of the game's Shattered Space expansion for Xbox and PC. So the article just continues to say more stuff about Indiana Jones and how Disney had a contract for multiple consoles and that the deal was amended to be an Xbox console exclusive after Microsoft acquired Bethesda. That's basically the deal that Disney had with Bethesda to work on the Indiana Jones game. And it says here that an Indiana Jones launch on PS5 would certainly be a surprise, but we're told there's still an intense debate internally at Microsoft over which Xbox games to bring to rival consoles. It now looks like Microsoft has settled on some Xbox titles making their way to PS5 and Nintendo Switch, but like I said last month, the devil will be in the details. And that is what the article from The Verge says. Okay. So let's quickly evaluate, talk about this, think about this for a bit. I had always felt, and I've had multiple conversations with people about this, that Microsoft is slowly transitioning the way of Sega, where they are really going to be focusing a lot on their Game Pass platform, possibly licensing some of their games to other platforms. You know, they are trying to solidify the software as a service kind of model for the video game industry. And in my opinion, so far, they've been doing a really great job. And this is me just speaking from experience. I have experienced Game Pass and I have experienced Xbox Plus, and I also experienced Nintendo Switch Online, which is not much to talk about because it's a whole bunch of horse shit. And it's just them re-releasing retro stuff for you guys to play when you subscribe, and maybe have some perks when you play online. That's it. Push that aside. It's not even worth mentioning and talking about right now. PlayStation Plus has some unique benefits. Obviously, you need it if you want to play online multiplayer games with your friends. But as far as what you can play PlayStation related, they have this insane tiered system there, where the highest tier, the most expensive tier, allows you to play more stuff. You also play on the cloud, yada yada, this and that. My opinion has been and still remains that it's not worth any of those major tiers, in my opinion. They don't have much to offer when it comes to next gen or current gen games to play off of those tiers. It's great if you want to catch up on the backlog of their game library. If you want to play The Last of Us, if you want to play some Assassin's Creed stuff, if you want to play some Days Gone or something like that, maybe Ghost of Tsushima. I don't know off the top of my head what they offer there. Maybe a Ratchet and Clank. But if you want to go to their backlog that you haven't had a chance to play yet, it's a great service to sign up for and do all that if you don't want to go out and buy the game separately. But once you're done with all that, honestly, there's no reason to stay subscribed to that service. Now let's talk about Game Pass. With Game Pass, not only can you play on your console, if you're signed up for Game Pass Ultimate, which I believe is $16 a month, if I'm not mistaken, $15 a month, you get to also play on PC. Now, not all games are going to be available on both PC and console, but a good amount of them are. You can play on your console or you can play on your PC. Huge plus if you are both a console player and a PC gamer. Plus, something that I learned recently that I wasn't even made aware of was that saves are multi-platformed on Game Pass. Meaning, if you have a saved game from a game that you're playing on your Xbox and you happen to want to play it on PC, that save transfers over and you can pull up your saved game on your PC. It happened with me with Palworld. And out of all the games, I wasn't expecting that to be a feature from Palworld because they're so behind on the ball. They're so working on so many things on the back end there. But I started playing Palworld on PC, but then I wanted to play on my Xbox console because I was tired of sitting on my desk here all the time. And I wanted to chill on my couch and play. So I was like, oh no, I don't know if my save's going to transfer over. I just checked it out, installed it, pulled it up. I saw that it was syncing with Game Pass. And then when it was done with that, I looked into my save data and there was my saved game. I was like, oh, wow, brilliant. Now I know PlayStation does that too. When you sign up for PlayStation Plus, you could save your games on the cloud and you could carry it over and over. But that's only if you have PlayStation to PlayStation, console to console. It's such a huge difference when it's console to PC. I've been saying for a very long time that the whole concept of the console wars that's gone. That's in the past. There's no such thing like that anymore. That is something that the fans, that the fanboys are trying to still put out there. There's no console wars right now. Why? Because the PC gaming market has grown tremendously. And I do feel like there are more and more people really leaning more towards PC gaming over console gaming. Now, if you have people that do both, they can get the benefit of both sides, right? With Microsoft Xbox Game Pass on PC, at least you'll get a chance to play some of the Xbox exclusives there. And then if you happen to have a PlayStation 5, then boom, you have that covered. And then also, if you're a big Nintendo fan, more than likely you own a Switch too, right? And the whole concept of exclusivity was never such a big deal, only until recently, because you have Microsoft buying up all of these major studios and the whole thing with Activision, Blizzard. It started off with Bethesda. That was going to be a major change in the market. You had all the Sony fanboys rioting online, but you knew that that wasn't going to last. At least those of us who are familiar with the industry, those of us who are familiar with history, we knew that kind of stuff wasn't going to last for a very long time, especially if you've been paying close attention to Microsoft. Yes, they want stuff under their belt because they want to be able to take full advantage of releases like a Call of Duty, a Starfield, an Indiana Jones. But if their main focus is going to be more of, cloud gaming, software as a service, then it only makes sense just to have these things under their belt because they want to be able to offer it through their service. And is this shocking news that Starfield is now potentially going to be available on the PlayStation 5? Or Indiana Jones is going to be available on PlayStation 5 after its exclusivity window? No, it's not. I don't care. It doesn't bother me because I have the means to play whatever I want. Now, I know a lot of people don't have that, but they're going to be able to get their chance. You don't see Sony doing this, really. It's only recently that Sony has announced that they are releasing some titles to PC gamers. But notice that they're doing it to PC gamers because they also understand the landscape has changed. PC is an important market and sector of the gaming landscape that these major people have to pay attention to. Microsoft has already had that ability to do that, and they've been doing that for a while now. That's why they don't have to really focus so much on console sales. That's just like an added bonus for them. Yeah, maybe it's costing them money, but in my opinion, and business-wise, maybe it's a small price to pay in just to promote and get your shit out there. Right? Now, will this mean that Xbox, Microsoft will cease making consoles in the future? I can see them kind of waning down. There are the rumors that there's going to be this new Xbox slimmer console that's supposed to be coming out, which is supposed to be digital, all digital, right? I can foresee them still putting out consoles. So they're not going to go really the route of Sega, where they're just going to cease producing their own consoles and just becoming like a licensing partner moving forward. I think Xbox will continue to have some sort of footprint in the console landscape. But don't be surprised if Microsoft's focus is really on multi-platform, cloud gaming. Because I think that's where their strengths lie right now. And I know a lot of people, especially on the developer side, are kind of against that. Because how do developers get paid? What's the rev share like, right? Totally understand that. And then, of course, there's then they also rotate games in and out. I had a recent incident where I, just on a whim, I said, you know what? I have not played a Grand Theft Auto game in years. In a very long time. Maybe since San Andreas. Because I got tired of the whole open world kind of nonsensical missions and running around without real any clear-cut direction. I got so tired of that stuff. But I decided that because I saw it on Game Pass, I'm like, you know what? Let me try Grand Theft Auto 5 for the first time. And I did, and I was getting into it because they changed a lot since I last played it. I love the switching between the different characters. I love that there's a clear-cut storyline that you could just follow. You don't have to go off and do all of these random side missions if you don't want to. They make it easier to kind of be more coherent in following a storyline. And then a week after I started playing it, it got removed from the Game Pass. And I was like, what the fuck? I was just getting into this. But that's the downside of a service like that, right? It's unfortunate. It's a bad side effect. But I also get it. You know, there's certain contract times and terms and windows that they're allowed to do stuff. And if anything, if I was so hardcore about wanting to continue to play Grand Theft Auto 5, which I kind of am, that will force me to want to go and buy it now. So that's how developers, publishers, they get their money too. You know, first time will be free, but the next one's going to cost you, right? So you get a free trial, but if you haven't finished it yet, we're going to remove it from Game Pass, and now you're going to have to buy it. And that's basically, it sounds like what they're trying to do here with their major titles that are exclusive. It's going to be exclusive for a period of time, and then they're going to allow it to be released on other platforms, which makes perfect sense to me. You know, so people who own Xboxes can still enjoy the game. People who own PC can still enjoy the game. And if you happen to own only a PlayStation 5 or only a Switch or a Switch 2 whenever that comes out, you'll still be able to play it. You're just going to have to wait a little bit. Do you see Sony doing that? Not really. I mean, Returnal is still a game you could only play on PlayStation 5 and I believe PC. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments. I don't know if they've done that yet. The Last of Us. Now you can play that on PC. I think The Last of Us 2 was recently came out on PC. And of course, you could play it on PlayStation 5. Xbox users can't play it still. Switch owners can't play it. And it looks like they'll never be able to play it. But if you have a PC, you could play it on PC, right? So this whole concept of the console wars nonsense, I mean, I never believed it anymore. Yes, it was such a thing back in the 90s. That was different. You know, the war between, you know, PlayStation and Xbox, that wasn't really a war. You know, it was just a preference. Because if you really wanted to play it, you found a way to play it. You know. But of course, with the internet and all that, everyone's up in arms. I'm already seeing headlines that Microsoft has thrown in the towel. Xbox will cease the console wars. You know, what kind of bullshit is that? What console wars? There's no war. That's all internet fodder. That's all fanboy fodder. That's all fandom. We see it already with Star Wars, Star Trek, Marvel, DC. Every fandom. Doctor Who. It's all fabricated. It's all social media bullshit. And then, of course, you have the YouTubers that are like kind of the YouTubers that are taking advantage of all of this stuff. Present company included. You know, it's a hot topic. So obviously I'm going to talk about it. But at the same time, I'm just going to give my honest opinion, and I am not on either side right now. I am just looking at it as an observer, as a fan of the industry, as someone who used to work in the industry, who understands how things work, who still have friends connected to the industry, and we talk all the time. I didn't know about any of this prior to this kind of report, but it makes sense to me. It's something that I've been saying for some time now, that Microsoft is slowly really pushing their focus on cloud gaming, multi-platform support, the route that Sega took, but they're still going to have their footprint in the console market. You know, that could just be an ego thing, in my opinion. Should they still put consoles out there? Should they still be releasing their own hardware? I don't know. I don't mind it. If they're going to want to do it, let them do it. You know, I just think maybe it's possible that we're not going to see as frequent of a release like we've seen before, because I feel like the last several generations have been all over the place. You know, you had your original Xbox, then you had Xbox 360, which made a lot of sense, and then you had Xbox One. But then after that, you had your Xbox One Plus or Xbox One S and X, and it's just like they're adding additional things to an already existing architecture. Now, granted, the new Series X is extremely powerful, and it's like you're having a PC as a console. Love it. But I don't see where you can go from there, to be honest with you. Yeah, maybe you can make a more cost-effective version, an all-digital version, right? And it's going to end up becoming like a computer, like a desktop computer, where every 5-10 years, maybe you're going to want to upgrade something. So maybe you're going to want to buy something. You know, it's the lazy PC gamer's way of playing games. If you don't want to invest so much on a gaming PC, the Xbox sounds like your route, your best choice. If you want a pure to the T gaming console, that's your PlayStation. And then you have Nintendo that offers the best of both worlds when it comes to portability and home system. But you can't expect the level of technology behind it like you get with an Xbox or a PlayStation 5. For some reason, they're always going to be behind that. I don't know why their focus is that way, but that's just how it is. But to be honest with you, to run a Super Mario Brothers game, a Zelda game, maybe a Metroid game, I don't think you need that strong of a hardware, in my opinion. But yeah, that's basically everything in a nutshell. Those are just my opinions, of course. I am always open to what all of you think about it. You know, what do you think the deal is with Microsoft? Their potential plans of multi-platform releases for their Xbox exclusive titles. Where is the future in Microsoft and Xbox? I think they're going to be just fine. From what I hear, they have so much shit in the works right now behind the scenes. Almost to the point where there seems to be no direction. Right? That could be a good thing or a bad thing. I don't know. But maybe their focus is really just more on software these days, which kind of makes sense. And it's kind of the route that I felt they were going to take for some time now. And if you're a fanboy of either side, of course, you're going to make a big deal out of it. But is it newsworthy? Yes, to a certain point it is. Is this the death knell to Microsoft and Xbox? No, of course not. If you can have an Xbox exclusive title sell like gangbusters on your home console or on PC, and then 3 months, 4 months later, you could maybe make an additional amount of money by licensing it off to Sony for PlayStation 5, licensing it off for Nintendo for the Switch. And especially if we're dealing with an all-digital world landscape in the near future, so you don't have to make physical copies of these. You could just offer it on the PlayStation Network or downloadable on Switch too. Because I don't think it's Switch. Well, maybe we'll see Hi-Fi Rush on Switch, but Switch 2, that's where we're going to be seeing your Bethesda titles, right? Your major titles there. Who's going to say no to extra money? Right? And again, I have to say this. Microsoft is open to doing that. You don't see Sony doing that. Instead, Sony is paying attention to making a PlayStation Portal that doesn't really make any sense. Or PlayStation VR that looks like it's swimming. Like neck is right here, the water is here. It's floundering because you have the Quest killing it. And where are all the titles? We only got 2 from the recent announcement, right? Presentation. So what's going to happen to, PS2 VR, whatever? I don't think that's going to get supported that much anytime, like in the near future. They're trying. Yeah, and then there's rumors that maybe we're going to be getting a PSP again. Good luck with that. Yeah, I don't. When you have the Nintendo Switch killing it on the portable market, and you have the Steam Deck, and of course you have your Ioneos and your Lenovo's and your ROG Allies, whatever. You have so many things happening now on the portability market, whether it's PC related or Switch. It's going to become very saturated. And we already know that Sony does not know how to market their own products properly. The one thing that would help Sony is if they were allowing their titles to be licensed off. But they still have that mindset that exclusivity is king. And maybe the PC lovers, the PC gamers will get some love here and there. Right? So I wonder if there is a stat out there that kind of can poll how many people have an Xbox console or a PlayStation 5 console and have a very strong PC that's very capable of PC gaming these days. I feel like the more and more we go in through the years, the more and more that's more of a possibility. So depending on how you feel about things, you basically have the best of both worlds. If you wanted to play an Xbox game, you can, because it is probably available on PC. You want to play a PlayStation game, you can, because you have a PlayStation 5 console. Or if it happens to be one of the titles they allowed to release on PC, you also have it now on PC. So I just wonder. I wonder if there is a stat out there that kind of highlights that. Because I feel like the more and more in years we go, the more and more the tech becomes so advanced and quote unquote affordable, I think the more we're going to see that gamers are going to have the best of both worlds. And that's why I keep saying the console wars, not a thing anymore. But I'm curious as to what all of you have to think. Definitely chime in if you're watching live, or if you're watching it on the replay, definitely let me know as to all your thoughts about all of this stuff. And, I'll put a poll up. Let's put a poll. It's poll time. And no, I'm not dancing on it, but I'm going to ask a question. Do you have either an Xbox or PS5 console plus own a gaming capable PC? Yes or no? Start that poll up. Poll is live. It's there. If you see it, participate. If you feel like you want to, let your voices be heard. Paul PQ, honestly, as a gamer, having PC plus Switch and maybe one home console gives the most coverage to play things. I don't disagree. And what I'm just trying to say here is I think more and more people who are very serious about their gaming, they're going to have the ability to have the best of both worlds. Because more than likely, they're going to have a very capable PC that can game on, and they're going to have some sort of console, whether it be an Xbox, a PlayStation 5, maybe even a Switch. That means they have even more so the best of all worlds, because now they have the portability aspect of it all. Because remember, they don't make DSs anymore. Game Boys aren't a thing anymore. Now everyone is buying a Switch. That is your gaming PC. That is your gaming on the go. Right? If you're not playing games on your phone, which is also another market in itself. That's a rabbit hole I'd rather not go down, because that is just all stuff there. But I think the more and more, the technology catches up, or people can catch up to the technology and afford it, I think the more and more we're going to see a landscape where everyone will eventually have the best of both worlds. Hence, and I think Microsoft knows that. That's why there's no need to worry about the wars, the console wars and all that. It doesn't exist anymore. The only one who needs to worry about it a little bit is PlayStation, Sony and PlayStation. But I think they're starting to slowly see it, hence why they're allowing some of their AAA titles to come out finally on PC. Is it happening at the rate that it should? It's not. But who knows? That could easily change. We could get a state of play, and then all of a sudden that announcement will be, oh, guess what? Bloodborne coming to PC, or, whatever PC release. Check it out. So yeah, we'll see what happens. So love to hear all your thoughts and all that. Definitely an interesting topic. And, normally I don't talk about video game related stuff until Fridays. Fridays is usually the video game day, but this was so much of a hot topic that I had to cover today. Because, the tizzy happening on the internet right now is fascinating and unbelievable to see. All right. Next big topic for this morning, I definitely wanted to touch base on, is this whole rumor about Thanos. And I'm going to emphasize rumor. 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 Take this with a grain of salt. Josh Brolin said what he said during an interview. He could be very tongue-in-cheek. Could be very cheeky. Who knows what it is that he's trying to say here. And plus, it's being reported right now from comicbook.com, which I don't know if this is what you would call a more reputable source. But they reported this over the weekend, that Marvel's Josh Brolin says he hears through the grapevine about Thanos returning. And this was all done during an interview in regarding Dune 2, which obviously he's in. So Dune Part 2 is heading to theaters next month, and the film will see the return of many fan-favorite actors from the first installment. One such star is Josh Brolin, who plays Gurney Halleck, the Denis Villeneuve epic. However, many fans know Brolin best for playing Thanos, the biggest bad of the Marvel Cinematic Universe so far. Comicbook.com recently had the chance to chat with Brolin about Dune, and the subject of Thanos' many deaths came up. Not only did the villain die twice in the Avengers Endgame, but alternate versions of the character died multiple times in What If, and was killed by the Illuminati in Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. When asked if Thanos could show up again, Brolin teases he's heard some rumors about his potential return. Quote, I hear kind of like through the grapevine that they're gonna bring him back. Quote, Brolin teased. And there's the What If series, and that's a different kind of Thanos and all that. But I don't know in the Marvel world whether they're going to bring him back. But I didn't know that he was the most killed off Marvel villain. You learn something new every day. All right. So that is the little snippet there. The article continues to go on to talk about Dune, which is a movie I am definitely looking forward to, and I can't wait to check out. But again, grain of salt. Could be a nothing burger. But let's think about it too. With the problems because of the whole Jonathan Major situation and Kang. And it's going to be obvious that they're going to be switching off of focus from Kang for a bit. I think Loki season 2 was really the last we're ever going to hear about the whole Kang situation. In Marvel's, if I remember correctly, I don't think there was even any kind of mention of Kang in there. I think, yeah, and even if I remember, no, I was thinking of Aquaman 2. You know, Marvel's was more like a thing that like kind of came and went, and I totally forgot how it ended, to be honest with you. It just wasn't anything to write home about, to be honest. It wasn't a bad movie, but it was just, I didn't feel like there was any really further excitement. Oh, I remember now. What is this? Miss Marvel herself, Iman Vellani, she's now kind of trying to play like the the Nick Fury. She's like the young Nick Fury, and I think she's going to go around recruiting the young Avengers because she ended up in Kate Bishop's apartment, and they had like a conversation. She tried to mimic the whole Nick Fury Iron Man thing, where she was like, have you heard of the Avengers or something like that? Like I forget how it went. It was kind of cute, but it kind of like leans in on the whole. We already kind of knew they're doing a Young Avengers thing, so this kind of like leans in on that. So I thought it was kind of cute, but it's very evident that they're going to be moving off of Kang for a bit. Deadpool 3 is going to, I think, lay down the foundation as to how Marvel is going to move forward. And I really do feel that it's going to be very catered and centered around X-Men and Fantastic Four. That would make the most sense. We shall see. I mean, on the Disney Plus side of things, we have Daredevil Born Again coming up. And I think that could be the focus for the TV side of things. The more grounded, super powered people on the ground level, that could be the Disney Plus side of stuff, while the movies will focus on like the grander side of things. Could Thanos be a part of all that? I mean, if we end up doing Secret Wars, there's potential that maybe something like that could happen, where maybe he'll show up again just briefly. But I've said it before, and I'm saying it one more time, especially when there were rumors that maybe the original Avengers could potentially be coming back. There was this big article from Variety about some of the meetings that the Marvel guys have had with Kevin Feige and Disney, and talking about what they need to do moving forward. And there were like kind of discussions and possible talks about bringing back the OG Avengers team with Iron Man, Hulk, Captain America, bringing him back, Chris Evans, just having that original crew back to kind of like put life back into the whole MCU. I said it back then when that article dropped. I think that would be a major mistake. That would be a major big no-no. Don't do that. Because that's just going back and relying on stuff you've already done. That means, and that's telling someone like me that you have no more new ideas. You don't have confidence in moving forward with a proper setup. We all looked at Marvel as the example of how to set up a proper universe, right? They had the building blocks laid out. They had the plans laid out. They were building this whole universe, and it worked brilliantly. Then something happened that after Endgame, it's as if they stopped planning. Or maybe they did, but it was just a little bit convoluted, all over the place. If they were to go back to bring like the OG Avengers, or maybe bring back Thanos, to me, that's just lazy. And I think that would be even more hurtful to the Marvel universe if they did something like that. Yeah, you're going to get your fans like, oh my God, Thanos is back. Woo! But to do what? For him to show up again and die again? I feel like that's just a huge waste. You know, give us something to look forward to that's like a long lasting thing. And I think they're just having a hard time because they just wanted, and I sound like a broken record, but they keep thinking they can easily treat their cinematic and TV universe like the comic books, and it just doesn't work that way. With different media, and people react to this media very differently. So, rumor as it may be, I won't be surprised if they had a conversation about it. But it will be very disappointing if they actually took that seriously moving forward. PQ saying, I still haven't seen the Marvels. I think I have superhero fatigue. I think you're not alone. There's a lot of people who have. And if you look at the box office, it's very evident people are tired. You know, and I'm not surprised. You put out too much shit, you're going to get shit. And people are shitting on all of these movies.
You blew it!
That's just how it goes. You know, it is what it is. Quick shout out to those watching live. Thank you so much. Always appreciate it. As always, don't forget, hit that like button. That really, really helps with the algorithms and all that good stuff. Would really, really appreciate the support there, as I do each and every time. Thank you so much for tuning in. And if you're watching on the replay, obviously do the same thing. And make sure to leave a comment. Let's have a conversation. Let me know what topic stands out to you every time. All right. Moving on to some news here. There's this other piece of news that I kind of laughed at when I saw the headline over the weekend. Former MoviePass executive convicted of embezzlement to pay off Coachella party debt. You can't make this stuff up. You really cannot. So, if you're familiar or not, I'll briefly explain it to you. MoviePass was this program that started by these couple of guys, and it was a way for moviegoers to save money going to the movies. Basically, you would pay $10 a month to be a part of MoviePass, and that allowed you to see one free movie every day. Basically, you got a card. It was like a credit card. You would go to the theater. You would check in through the app, and then you would select what movie you wanted to see. And then you went to the kiosk, scan your barcode or something, and then you paid with your card, and there you go. Free movie ticket. It was not sustainable because how are you making money just charging people $10 a month when movie prices, like in major metropolitan cities, are like $18 a ticket? So obviously it didn't last. And then plus studios weren't behind it. Movie theaters weren't really behind it. But they took that idea and created their own. So now you have a Regal Unlimited program. You have an AMC Stubs or something plus, whatever it's called, where you pay kind of like $20, $25 a month. And with AMC, you get to see 3 movies a week. And with Regal, you get to see, I believe, you can see up to 3 movies a day or maybe even more. I've never pushed it to its limits, but in one day I was able to see 3 movies with my Regal Unlimited program. And here in New York, movie ticket prices are basically $18 a ticket. So if I'm paying $25 a month, 2 tickets already pays for itself. In any given month, especially a good month, I'm seeing 5, 6 movies. So it makes sense for me to have a membership like that. But MoviePass basically crumbled, deteriorated. There was a lot of controversy about those behind the scenes, not managing the money right, having bad relationships. over promising. So they went out, right? And recently, MoviePass is trying to make a comeback. I don't know how they're doing these days. I have not caught up with the news. But I get the emails of, tempting me to sign up and check them out, even with offering me a free movie. But the tiers they have themselves look very off, and it doesn't make sense to me. So yeah. So when I read this, I just couldn't help but laugh, because already knowing the history of MoviePass and those behind it, not surprised here. So it says here, Khalid Itum submitted fake invoices to MoviePass to pay off the debt he incurred to fund the party at Coachella in 2018. A former MoviePass executive has been convicted of embezzling at least $260,000 from the subscription movie service to repay money he borrowed to fund a party at Coachella in 2018. Khalid Itum was found guilty on Thursday on 2 counts of wire fraud, though he was acquitted of money laundering charges, announced the Department of Justice. The guilty verdict, returned by a jury after a trial in federal court in California, was the latest reminder of fraud perpetrated by MoviePass executives. The DOJ in 2022 charged former chief executives Theodore Farnsworth and J. Mitchell Lowe with securities fraud for engaging in a scheme to artificially inflate the price of the company's stock by misleading investors. The false statements involved claims that MoviePass's business model, in which subscribers could see unlimited movies in theaters with no blackout dates for a flat monthly fee of $9.95, was a tested, sustainable business model. According to the evidence presented at the trial, Itum, who stepped down in 2019 from his position as executive vice president of the struggling movie ticketing service after just a few months on the job, borrowed money from 2 individuals to help fund a party in 2018 at Coachella. To repay the debt he incurred, he submitted sham invoices to MoviePass. Itum will be sentenced on April 29th. He faces a maximum sentence of 40 years in prison. This is a lesson learned, and a lesson to all of you guys out there. Don't use company money to fund your own shit, no matter how high in the company you are. That's just asinine to me. And it just shows you the stupidity of the people involved with this whole MoviePass company. Yeah, it's just so bizarre, and it's just so funny. And it just reminds me of like other things, like the Fire Festival, the debacle behind all that. People in business are just really, really dumb sometimes. Or they have this ego around them that they feel like they can just get away with anything. Wrong. Guess again, dumbasses. Well, what can you do, right? It is what it is. Last here for kind of like some newsworthy stuff. I thought this was really, really interesting that, the Super Bowl. Oops, am I allowed to say that? Am I going to get sued by the NFL? The Superb Owl is happening this weekend. And, we're getting kind of teased with some of the Super Bowl commercials. Oh, shoot, I said it again. What is wrong with me? We're getting teased with a lot of Superb Owl commercials that are supposed to be debuting on Sunday. And one that kind of just was released was this commercial for Pringles, where Chris Pratt kind of transforms into Mr. Pringles. So I wanted to check this out. It looked kind of funny. So, oops, that's not it. All right, so let's check out this Chris Pratt Pringles commercial.
Just this.
You look like the Pringles guy.
Well, with a mustache like that, he also looks like Mario.
Identical.
More Pringles.
Chris, I have the roll of a lifetime for you.
Hold on. I loved how he used the Pringles can to unlock his iPhone. That was pretty funny. Mr. P.
Do I get a cut?
I'm pretty sure there's going to be an extended version of this commercial. Mind you, companies like Pringles are spending millions and millions of dollars just to have their commercials air. This is a 30-second spot. I don't want to know how much money they've spent because they had to hire Chris Pratt, right? Plus they got to have to, pay for the time slot. We could be talking about upwards of $5, $8 million, $10 million or more. Jesus. Unbelievable. But it's kind of funny. When you look at it, it's kind of funny. So that's pretty much the bulk of the news items I wanted to talk about this morning. We have some time here. I know I started late, so I wanted to quickly talk about this movie I was able to finally see, American Fiction. American Fiction stars, hold on, I just want to... Let me just have some stuff up here so I could reference it. All right. So American Fiction is a movie starring Jeffrey Wright. You also have Sterling K. Brown, who's nominated for supporting actor. You have Jeffrey Wright, who's nominated for best actor. And you have American Fiction itself nominated for best picture in the Oscars. This was a movie that came out last year that I didn't have a chance to see right away, but I was able to finally see it. The same day I saw Argylle, which is kind of funny because it's two movies about authors. Obviously, two different outcomes and two different story plots. But American Fiction basically is a movie about an author, a Black author, who can't seem to sell his books properly. And he's seeing out there in the landscape that Black authors who get to sell their books to a major audience are telling stories about life on the streets, hood life, and thug life, and, kind of raw baby mama drama kind of stuff like that. And he hates that stuff because, he's a graduate of Harvard. And he's like, we tell great stories. Stories like that are pandering and, we don't understand that, but it sells, right? So he just all of a sudden just decides to, you know what? I'm going to create a pseudonym and I'm going to write the most bullshit story ever that kind of panders on the whole thug life, street life kind of situation. And lo and behold, it gets a lot of attention. It wants to get picked up. It wants to be turned into a movie. And now he's dealing with all of that fallout. And it's an interesting tale about our society today, especially when it comes to stories and kind of how we view minorities and their situations. And of course, it's definitely a white people viewing Black people kind of thing, because it really focuses on the fascination of white people when it comes to Black stories that are stories of struggle and challenge. These are the stories that sell. And then when they're like pitching it to a movie studio, it's all about, the thug life drama. Yeah. And here you have Jeffrey Wright's character, who has a brilliant name, Thelonious. And his nickname is Monk, because, of course, the great jazz artist, Thelonious Monk. He just hates it. And he's putting himself through it because he needs the money. He unfortunately is, facing a lot of hardship. Sister passes away. Mom is getting Alzheimer's. They have to put her in a home. Brother is struggling with his life. He himself is going through or went through a divorce, a separation. They have this beach house that's hardly being used, that's still just hanging out there. So there's a lot of things that he's involved in that he needs money for, and he's not making anything. And he's not getting help from any of the siblings, because you have Sterling K. Brown, who plays his brother, who's going through kind of not a midlife crisis, but more of a life change situation. He was married, had kids, broke it off because deep down inside, he's gay. And he's finally coming to their realization and acceptance that that is him. And now, he got separated because of that. And he's dealing with this new kind of embracing of this lifestyle of his. But he still has this chip on his shoulder about people accepting him, especially their father who passed away not that long ago. So they always have this thing in them where the father figure was this strong, dominant force who they found out was also not very truthful to the family. They found love notes to his mistresses, so he was cheating on his wife, but his wife remained and stayed. And even Thelonious asked his mom, like, did you know about Dad's infidelity? And if so, why did you stay with him? And she had this very interesting thing that she said. She's like, if I left him, I knew he was going to be lonely, and I couldn't make him be lonely. I was like, wow, can you believe coming to that kind of realization and thinking about that? And all throughout the movie, you're dealing with Thelonious's kind of chips and his grudges against society and, certain races. He gets inducted into his voting body, who awards literary awards for the year. And he suffers because one of his fellow authors, who is a black lady played by Issa Rae, who writes those type of stories that he's against, is part of the judging body that he's now part of. And then you have 3 other book critics who are, white. And that's the audience that he is kind of against. And his fake book, which he titles Fuck, which is hilarious because he just wants to fuck around, basically. The first title of this book that he wrote was called, I think it was called The Pathology of Me or something like that. Instead of pathology, it's pathology, ghetto speak. But then, like, as he's gaining momentum, as the book house, the publisher is ready to pay him so much money and they want to get exclusive rights to the movies, he's like, you know what? I changed my mind. I want to change the title of this book and I want to call it Fuck. It's like, take it or leave it. And they're like, no, we think that's a brilliant name. It's kind of sticking it to the man and sticking it to the machine and da-da-da-da. And he's just like, are you kidding me? I didn't think they were going to buy this. And he just finds himself in a conundrum, right? So now this book makes it into this approved list that he now has to vote on. And it's getting him so much attention, and he's getting so jaded and pissed off of everything because of it. He starts a new relationship, and now he's like sour on this relationship because he finds her reading that book, and she says it's actually really good. And he's like, how can you think a story like that is good? That's horseshit. But he never admits that that's him, because I think he feels sorry for himself that he had to steep that low and do something that he's always been against in doing. So it was a very, very interesting movie. Very, very well done, well written, well performed movie overall. I thoroughly enjoyed it a lot. The ending itself was very unique and also very sweet too, where it kind of gives you like that Clue moment. If you've seen the movie Clue, you know what I mean about like the multiple endings, where we see an ending play out, but that wasn't really an ending. It was him dictating the manuscript of the story of his own life to the director. And the director's like, wait, so nothing happens? He just walks out? No, you can't do that. That's boring. You're not going to be able to sell that. It's like, okay, well, what if we do it this way? And it becomes like this all crazy, like kind of shootout where the himself, the main character, gets shot at the end at the podium as he's trying to be honest and come open that the book Fuck that won the prestigious award is really written by him. But before he could say all that, the cops show up because they were under the impression that the real author, who again pseudonym, so it's not real, is actually a wanted criminal. So there's all of a sudden this shootout at the end, and it's so dramatic and all that. And as he's saying it out loud, the director's like, "Oh my God, that's it! That's brilliant! I could see it now! Blockbuster hit! Let's make it happen! Da da da! This and that." And the movie basically closes out with Jeffrey Wright and Sterling K. Brown in the convertible driving away, talking about selling his script, who's gonna play each other, all this. It was a very funny and sweet ending, and that's basically what this is. It's a comedy drama that really touches on a lot of the social things that we see today. It begs the question: what we find entertaining, what is important, fact or fiction, hence the title American Fiction, and how society looks at certain aspects of race and plight and living and growing up, and certain sectors of neighborhoods and all of that stuff. It covers so much of those things, but it also talks about the inner struggle of getting yourself down and downtrodden because the society that you see seems to be against you and you don't want to play type, right? So how do you struggle and come to terms with that on your own while also dealing with maybe trauma because you didn't get the attention from your parent, or you didn't meet those expectations from certain parents, or getting so self-indulged in yourself that you don't see what's happening to your siblings or your mom? How do you put priority and importance in your life? It touches base on all of those different things. And in a way, just like his namesake, Thelonious, nicknamed Monk, like Thelonious Monk, the great jazz artist, it's like jazz. Life is sometimes like jazz. You have so much shit happening all at once, but yet you have to find a way to find that harmony to make it all work at the end of it. And if you know jazz sometimes to someone who's not used to it sounds like a mishmash of all of these things that normally would not make sense. But when done right, there's this harmony and cohesiveness with it all. And it turns out to be really enriching and great music at the end of the day. And that's how life is sometimes. Life can be a mishmash of so much stuff that hits you all at once, or stuff that's lingering. But there's a way to harmonize all that and make it work. And I think that's the struggle that Thelonious, Jeffrey Wright's character, was struggling with and dealing with. And, like I said, I really thoroughly enjoyed it. On Letterboxd, I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. I now completely understand why Sterling K. Brown was nominated for supporting actor. His performance was brilliant. A very relatable character. And so was Jeffrey Wright's Thelonious. Very relatable, very understandable. So I also understand why he's getting all the attention, and I also understand why this movie is getting all the attention. So I'm very happy I had a chance to see it, and it's kind of fitting because it is Black History Month, and I definitely do want to pay a lot more attention to Black film, Black performers. Not that I don't already, but there's so many things I have not had a chance to watch. Like I still to this day have not watched the original Color Purple, and I think I'm going to allow myself the opportunity to finally do that this month. I think I owe it to myself, especially since I already saw the musical, the movie musical. It makes more sense for me to actually go back and watch the original film. And more so, just allow myself to watch more of these movies. Just, and most of the time it's because I just don't have the time or this, or, I it's in my queue and then it gets pushed back or something. It's never forgotten. It's just, I just don't allow myself the time to like, all right, I'm going to sit down today, turn off YouTube for once, or turn off whatever bullshit Marvel series that I'm trying to push through. And let me watch this film that I've been pushing back from time to time. And I feel like that's sometimes what we have to do in life in general. There's so many moments, I think, in life, and maybe I'm just speaking for myself here, where I feel there are so many things I want to accomplish, so many things I want to do, and it just gets pushed back for whatever reason, right? And I always have that excuse, like, oh, I'll get to it. It's always going to be there. I have time. You really don't. And you're doing yourself a disservice by constantly procrastinating. And I think that's honestly, for me personally, that's one of my biggest issues, is that I have a bad time with procrastination. That is like my number one enemy. And I see where I get it from too. My mom is very bad at that stuff. Always have been. We talk about it all the time. And that is something that I'm trying to be better at. My theme of the year is organization. I want to organize my life better. I want to organize my business better, this stuff. Organize all of those things much better instead of just kind of like willy-nilly doing things left and right and not having any kind of like coherent structure in place. That's why I'm trying to do so many changes on the channel here and on the podcast. I'm trying to make things make more sense, make there be a more coherent structure. Like if you've been following me for some time here on YouTube, you can come to me for movie reviews and trailer reactions now, since I introduced that last year. Commentary on certain things. But I still feel like there's more of that I can do, or have that be more structured, instead of, oh, I wonder when Renee's going to be talking about this, and it just shows up one day, right? Like, it would be awesome if I become like that go-to, hey, I want to have a conversation with Renee about this movie or about this show, or hey, what about that trailer just dropped? What did you think about that? Or this news item. What are your thoughts on that? Let's talk about it. Like, I want to be that nice source that you can go to and rely on to be able to do all that stuff with and hang out. I've said it before and I'm saying it again. I do this now, brand new this year, streaming 3 times a week in the mornings, because I'm doing what I normally would do, is just I'm sharing the experience with all of you. I'm sitting here with my coffee, checking out the headlines, and now I get a chance to talk about it. Instead of me writing down, it's like, oh, you know what? This would be an interesting video for me to do. Talk about this topic. And then before I know it, at the end of the week, I have 10 to 15 different ideas for videos that I never get to. Because there's time to record it, or there's time to write a small script. I don't usually script my stuff out. Small script, shoot it, edit it, and make the edit appealing so that people can watch it and are engaged in it, post it, promote it, all that stuff. That takes a lot of time, and I'm just doing it by myself. The thumbnail too, make the thumbnail appealing. I'm doing all that stuff alone. A lot of these other YouTubers, they have a team behind them. And no, I'm not shooting shots on anybody. It's just they have the ability to do all that stuff. And I'm competing with that, unfortunately. But I still feel like I have a unique voice out there. That, when I see people like PQ or AKB or Star-Lord, Max, some of them are my friends, some of them I don't know. But they like to come and engage with me. And I enjoy that. I want to be able to invite and encourage more people to do that with me. Because maybe, maybe your opinion gels with mine. And in a landscape where you have so many veteran YouTubers now quitting, taking time off, and all that, maybe I can fill in that void. I may not be as over the top as some of them, or I may not be as vanilla as most of them. But I'll tell you this, I won't steal your money for some fake charity organization. I would never do that. Good old The Completionist. What happened? And if I do something wrong, I promise you I'll be live on stream or in a video playing my ukulele and apologizing. And taking ownership, not trying to pass the buck like some other people. All right, what the hell am I talking about now? Yeah, so that's American Fiction. It's like I zoned out for a minute and I just kind of... But yeah, American Fiction, definitely worth the watch. Highly recommend it. Great story, great movie, great performances all around. Check it out. Now is the time. I know a lot of people are catching up on some of the movies that have been nominated for Oscars. So this is definitely one of those movies you should check out. If you are subscribed to the podcast or if you listen to the podcast, I highly recommend you checking out our latest episode that dropped yesterday, where Blake and I, we talk about our top 12 films that are still worth a watch that came out last year that got 0 nominations. There were a lot of movies that are worthy of you watching. But I feel like what most people do is that they hear the headlines of what was talked about during the Oscars and the nominations and the awards, that a lot of these films get forgotten because now they put a lot of focus on this. You have a lot of movie theaters who are re-releasing these movies for viewings and screenings so that people can catch up. The movies that we talked about in our recent episode are movies that highlight those that are not being talked about right now, with maybe the exception of 1 or 2. I feel like a movie like Saltburn is always going to be talked about because of just how wacky and crazy it is. But there are a lot of movies in there that, I think is still worthy of a watch for you to watch and check out whenever you get the moment. All right. So we talked about a lot this morning, everyone. I'm actually very happy with all the things that we talked about. And I don't know if there's much more to talk about. Let me check and see if there are any other headlines that are kind of standing out here. Uh-oh. King Charles diagnosed with cancer, according to Buckingham Palace. Oof, that's rough. Sorry to hear that. Let's see here. America Ferrera is making her directorial debut titled I Am Not Your Perfect Mexican Daughter. The film follows a woman who dreams of becoming a famous writer, but her parents wish she was more like her sister, now eternally perfect since her tragic death. Apparently, this is based off of a book, so America Ferrera doing big things there. Let's see. I'm just going through some of the things that are in my feed right now. Oh, here we go. So one of the things, I mentioned this earlier, like one of the things that kind of baffled me was why was Killer Mike arrested before the Grammys? This headline here says, Killer Mike dodged questions about what happened with his arrest at Grammys. We're not even going to allow you to ask that question. We're going to go back to the real question. How did he do it? 3 Grammys. Yeah, he did win 3 Grammys too. Then got arrested. So there you go. Killer Mike. Let's see. It's kind of slow this morning, to be honest. I mean, there's not much really to talk about. Just a couple of first looks here. Nothing big. Oh, look at this. Martin Scorsese with his daughter are in an ad for this Sunday for Squarespace. Last year we had Adam Driver. This year we have Scorsese. Well, let's check it out. Let us check this out.
What are you doing?
Hey, hi.
Okay, hold on.
Hey, Dad. What are you doing?
Hey, hi. I'm trying to make another film, a short film, a really, really short one, like 30 seconds. I mean, 30-second film.
Get it?
is
A commercial.
shorter because each scene is like a second, maybe. The main character happens to be a website. Now, the thing is,
That's why he's directing the commercial.
know what a website is. Or
That's
what
funny.
it thinks about,
Oh,
what it
mind
cares
you,
about, if it cares about anything.
hold on a
I don't know
second.
if it thinks at all.
This video is 3 minutes and 50 seconds. I highly doubt that this is going to be the full ad. If it is, that's awesome. I'm sure we're going to get snippets of this ad on Sunday. But it's amazing that this is 3 minutes and 50 seconds. Could you imagine if it's 3 hours? Oh my God, it's like Killers of the Flower Moon.
I need to sort of get inside the sense of what a website is. It's almost as I have to create one.
So design it.
Now,
Yeah, here on your computer.
I also love how the recent stuff with Scorsese is always with his daughter, and how it's his daughter that is kind of introducing him to all of these new things like social media, TikTok, Letterboxd. He didn't know about Letterboxd before. So now, he's on Letterboxd, Twix. It's like it's so cute, the dynamic they have here, and they're basically playing on the same thing where his daughter's, it looks like, it's going to be teaching him how to build a website now.
just to come over and do it.
Yeah, let's make it. What is it about?
An intergalactic plea for connection.
So like Martians.
Well, no, it shouldn't be Martians, because if they're Martians and they come from Mars, they're right here. I'm talking about intergalactic, like another galaxy.
Like extraterrestrials, just in general.
Yeah, extraterrestrials, maybe for like 100 years or so, they've been trying to contact us or connect with us in some way. They've been doing like snowstorms in the Sahara, been mad rhinos running down Wall Street. All these, little overtures, and at any point, they've been trying to connect with us. If they're doing that sort of thing, they could have touched down in Times Square, in the middle of Times Square, and just come right out and did it. But
I am so much appreciating Scorsese in this moment of his life, because I do love, and he was always very kind of happy-go-lucky, open to poke fun at himself. I love that he's allowing himself to be more free, more making fun of himself, having fun, right? I mean, it's great seeing him in how he is at this stage of his life. I feel like we've seen that already with like someone like Anthony Perkins. I'll never forget a lot of his like TikTok videos that went viral of him just going nuts and dancing around and all. I feel like when you get to a certain age, you allow yourself to do that more and more and more. So I think that's really, really kind of cute.
And I think what it is that they're waiting. They're waiting to be discovered.
Okay. Well, I mean, what do you think they want?
To not feel that they're alone.
So like they want a friend?
They want us to be friends. They got a real problem. They come down here for us to be friends? No, I think they have. I mean, maybe.
Do you see how natural this is too? Like it kind of just makes me feel like they said, "All right, Marty, Francesca, the concept we're trying to make here is that you guys want to build a website, right? We're Squarespace and all. You decide how you want to do it." And it feels to me like their conversation is so damn natural. It's amazing. She should be an actress. I'm surprised she's not.
The other people, but not us.
Okay. All right. Okay. Well, okay. The first thing you need is a domain.
A domain, right away, stop right there, because that's in my mind medieval. I think.
Yeah, domain is something different to him.
John Reddy, he had a domain. It was in England.
Right. No, but it's like the URL, like a
It's a
link.
what?
A URL. It's a link. It brings you to the website.
How do you get a link? Seriously.
Well,
I mean,
that's what I'm saying. You create one. Do you have a name idea for this?
A name. An outstretched hand across the cosmos?
And like a little smaller.
Okay, hands across the universe. No. Maybe
That
they
would
don't have
work.
hands.
That will work. Handsacrosstheuniverse.com. Do it.
What do they have?
I don't know what they have. Who knows what they have? I'm just saying, whatever. Yeah. How about we're like looking up at them. We say, "Hello up there, hello."
But what if it's from them?
Well, it could be from their
Down.
point of view, which means
Hello down there.
Hello
down there.
Yeah.
That's it. Now you got it.
Okay.
Yeah. That's it.
Okay. So that'll work. That's a good headline too. Do you like any of these fonts?
This one's too old-fashioned.
Okay.
This one
What
is nice,
kind of
but it's
image is
too
that?
loud in a
Oh
way.
my God.
This one is too loud.
I thought he
You know,
wasn't talking about
burst
aliens.
right in the conversation. This one is like Upper East Side, right? Maybe the New
Upper
Yorker
East
and all that, you know? Wait, go back. No, make that bolder. Too much. Too little. Oh, it's not bad. I mean, it's a greeting, and it's like a plea, a
Yeah.
yearning.
Yeah.
This is so cute.
Can you humanize them, which will really ruin everything. I'm starting to get it now. I didn't know a website. I didn't really know a website could do that.
Yeah. I mean, it's basically not real if it's not on the internet.
This website slaps, kid, doesn't it?
Ah!
Is that slapping or what? Huh? All right, guys, let's get going. We
I
solved
really
it.
regret
Come
ever
on,
teaching you
let's
that.
go.
Oh, that
Go
is
live with me,
hilarious.
everybody. I'm going the wrong way.
Oh my God, that is funny. Yeah, honestly, it just felt to me like they just had him and his daughter sit down and riff, and they filmed it. I wonder if he had a hand in directing it, but it's like a day in the life of Martin Scorsese and his daughter. I love it. It's so cute. That is brilliant. That is brilliant. Let's see. Anything else here? Oh, look at this. Martin and Francesca are writing a book together for A24. They are really they've become like almost like the power team up lately. It's amazing. And I think that's great. And I love that. Now, I don't know how their relationship was before, but I love the fact that they have this bond together now. Basically, his daughter's introducing him to technology and social media because, you know, he is the old school filmmaker and they are collaborating together. I think that is adorable. I think that's really, really awesome. Moving on here. Just looking at Ryan Reynolds and John Krasinski. They're talking about their If movie. There's a lot of discourse regarding documentaries and how it's being treated at the Oscars. It's kind of crazy how controversial that is right now. So I'll just read this excerpt here. Someone, Guy Lodge, I don't know who this guy is. Get it, Guy. He's a film critic, okay, for Variety and all that. All of these documentary professionals throwing their toys out of the pram because American cinema took a backseat for once, and 5 superior films were nominated. Embarrassing. The article from Variety, the headline is Doc World is reeling from Oscar nominations and what they might mean for struggling sector. There is this resentment towards certain kinds of success. There's a quote here. When I saw that American Symphony, Still, a Michael J. Fox movie, Going to Mars, the Nikki Giovanni project, and Rogers' film Stamped from the Beginning didn't get nominated, that said to me that the many members on the branch who are from the foreign countries don't give a fuck about these American films, says veteran filmmaker Sam Pollard. An Academy Award-winning documentary producer who did not want to be named concurs with Ishikawa. It is deeply concerning to me that the doc branch did not nominate a single film by an American filmmaker. I also think it's a giant mistake that our branch did not nominate some of the most successful and most beloved films of the year. So many of us have worked so hard to make great films that break out of the little ghetto documentaries used to be kept in for so long. Another idea branch members have expressed is adding an international feature documentary category alongside a U.S. feature documentary. So it sounds to me like there is a lot of conflicting arguments between American filmmakers and international filmmakers when it comes to the documentary category. I had no idea there was such discourse behind the two. That is extremely crazy and fascinating there. It kind of, like, when you think about it, it now kind of makes sense. You know, like how we have international film and then we have Best Picture. Would it make sense to make an international documentary feature category along with a regular American? I don't know. That's hard to say. The thing is, documentaries are probably the most produced forms of film that get put out every year, more so than the Hollywood Fair. So I wonder if this would help kind of separate the field or kind of organize the field a little bit more, especially when you have certain body members who may lean towards certain, I don't know. Or is it the members who are voting for these things? I don't know. It's hard to say. It's very, very fascinating. And again, I had no idea that was such controversy, to be honest. I heard rumblings about it, but I didn't know it was like that. Looks like we're going to be seeing more Ben Affleck Dunkin' ads for the big game this weekend. Coraline celebrates its 15 years anniversary. That is a movie I have never seen. Maybe I need to watch that. Also, Cobra Kai, the final season, just started filming. I'm a little sad about that because I love Cobra Kai, and it's kind of sad to see it go, but I get it. There's only so much you could do with that series like that. There has to be an end. Kind of like Stranger Things. Like this year, we're going to finally see Stranger Things end and Cobra Kai end. So those are going to be two big properties ending this year. But I think that's going to do it for this morning, y'all. Thank you so much once again for tuning in. I highly appreciate you joining me in this morning. Again, I know a little bit late this morning. I'll get back to my usual 10 o'clock schedule on Wednesday. Wednesday, that's when I talk about my binge of the week, where I kind of talk about, recap, and review the show that I binged the past week. It could be one show, it could be two. We'll see. Just wait and see. Tune in for that. And of course, headlines and all. And then back again on Friday, talking about what to watch for that weekend. I may have a review on a brand new movie. And that's when we dive into more video game related topics there. So definitely tune in and check it out when it's there. But I'm going to head on out for now. Again, if you're watching live, thank you so much. Don't forget, hit that like button. If you haven't done so yet, hit the subscribe, hit the notification bell to get notified every time a new video or stream is live posted on the channel there. Check out the Movie Time podcast on your podcast platform of choice. New episode just dropped yesterday where Blake and we talked about our top rated or highly recommended movies that got 0 nominations from last year. Check that out. If you want to further support the channel, don't forget, memberships are open, y'all. For as little as $1 a month, you can help support the channel on a monthly basis by subscribing and being a member. You can do that. More tiers are to come this month. Stay tuned for all that. Find more ways to participate and interact with the community there, and myself, of course. And maybe possibly we can get Blake to do some stuff along there too. Lastly, check out the affiliates that we have in the description of this video if you want to also show support there. Click on any of the links if something interests you, and any transaction done through those, we get a little kickback here, and it just goes to helping support this channel and all that. So with all that out of the way, enjoy the rest of your Mondays, enjoy your weeks. Hopefully it's a good one, good start, brand new week, fresh new you, fresh new week. Have a good one. Stay cool, stay classy, stay safe, and I will catch you all in the next one. Peace out, y'all. Bye-bye.